Hi guys, today I'm gonna do it a little differently. I'll save the tank review till the end of the video, like when I go on Tanks GG and all that, because I want to show the replays first, because this replay is just very entertaining. Aside from the fact that our ELC drowned in the beginning, the main focus isn't even of the tank itself, because at this point who cares, right? The main focus is just these very entertaining replays that I have to show you. So, this thing was nerfed, okay? The one I'm playing right now was before the nerf. So, you know what that means? It actually has 420 alpha damage, not 400. And the charge up time is 2 seconds, not 2.5. So this thing just is an absolute double barrel monster, right? It's just smacking people for 420 times 2, so 840, and it only takes 2 seconds to do it, is just nasty work. So on this map, I come over here because I don't know where else to go, to be honest. It doesn't seem like there's much to shoot at. However, I think it's safe to say that this change, this like raised area now on Erlenberg, is probably one of the best changes they've made to any map. It just seems to yield very entertaining results, very interesting games. You saw with the Ares video, and that's not the only example, but that's probably the most recent you can remember. Anyway, the best part about this tank is that when you charge a double, it gets more accurate. And so people are always like, oh, it's like the SFAC, it's like the SFAC. Kind of, but that's only half the story. So, when you charge a double in the SFAC, the gun dispersion factors and the accuracy both become a lot better. Now, the Volkadav, only its gun dispersion factors improve. Whereas this, it's the accuracy. Just like that, that guy got high rolled a little bit and now he's dead. So that's very nice. But yeah, like, let's be clear. When we say SFAC, it's actually half of an SFAC. And the Volkadav is the other half. So, if the Volkadav can fire on the move because its dispersion factors don't change when you're charging a double, this is the opposite. And I'm willing to take a shot here. If it means I could plant a big old double, because that's the top tier heavy. And so, now here's a one-shot, which is very good for the sake of winning this match. But yeah, this thing, you can't really fire on the move. Its dispersion factors does not change at all, and its dispersion factors are not very good. But it does become very accurate. So, if you just sit and fully aim, when you charge a double, it's very accurate and you're more likely to hit. Fortunately, that one missed because I had to inch forward a little bit. Unironically, if this was the SFAC, that would have hit, because the SFAC has perfect dispersion when you're charging a double. So the Volkadav and the Serpenty, or Serpent, or whatever, they're pretty much two halves of the SFAC. And I'm sure that's not an accident from Wargaming. I'm sure that's how they're slowly introducing more and more powerful premiums. That is incredible. This tank is supposed to be accurate when charging a double, and I was fully aimed, but, you know, World of Tanks, right? We're not doing too hot. It's 5 to 9, and we're down 4k, and we're getting capped out. See, that 257, he lost a lot of HP, now he, he wanted to cap. Our T-49 absolutely smacked him. I wanted to double that guy, but I don't quite have the gun depression. So it's gonna get very interesting here. We basically, if you look at the mini-map, we're all constrained to this one elevated area, and the enemy don't want to cap. So you know what that means. This is going to be a very entertaining replay. So I'm going to go over here and help this Medved with this ELC. Now it looks like this T-49 is going to get a shot. He missed. It's a T-49. And boom. Now he's dead. We are already on 2k damage and we've barely done anything. Our battle's just begun. Now, I turn around, our 2-6 or 2-8-3 is fighting this Progetto alone. So, I want to help him out so he doesn't have to take so much damage. Put this guy in the nasty crossfire. Look at this. This is like the freest double lining up right here. And so, charge, and there we go. Killed. Now we're kind of even on HP. We actually brought it back. And this medved took that guy out. Very nice. So, along with the nerfs, one of the other nerfs was that the standard penetration dropped. It was 254, now it's, I think, 240 something. However, of course, the premium didn't change, 307, which is decent. Actually, it's above decent. I'd say it's good. Because now that I think about it, tier 10s are pretty much all packing this kind of APCR pen. So, they still have 3 tank destroyers and a Stritz. And I don't know about the AT-15, but the SU and the Stritz have very good camo. But that was very interesting. It didn't look like that guy aimed at all for 1 second. However, I also didn't really aim. So, touche. However, he was moving. I was just turning the turret, but took that guy out. Now we're on 3,500 damage. So, how are we going to dig out the other tank destroyer and medium without getting ourselves killed? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but this like entire second half of this map is just a sniping camping fest. So I guess the plan is to approach with as much cover as possible. So that's why I'm taking this route right here. I turn and I decide, where is the AT-15? Okay, he was last spotted over there. I went over here. I didn't spot him. Did he go back to his base? That's a good one to check. Because instead of just outright going in the middle of the field and praying I don't get spotted, let's clear this area out first. And the 283 is full health, so he's got the HP to go in the field and do all that. So, oh, check this out. Let me just do this, aim for the tracks, and that's 2/3 of his health gone, and now he's on 4 HP and he's dead. Pretty nasty stuff, man. Now, you could say you shouldn't have double shotted when he's not a one-shot and it's a DPM fight, but the medved was behind me, so that's the point. After the double shot, I run away and let the medved take care of him. Anyway, there's the SU. I am sort of a one-shot if he high rolls. However, he backed down, but he might reapproach in that bush. And there's a decent chance we won't see him, so... Alright, let's play it safe. This, 283 right there. He'll do all the spotting for us. No need to rush in and get, yeah, look, he did actually poke. No need to get high rolled. So, do I have a shot? Now might be a good time to move up because he's distracted. He's less likely to poke that bush now because he's getting surrounded, right? He's just gonna dig in and hopefully survive for as long as he can. Now, I would really like to get a double shot, please. And... okay, it was kind of a waste, but oh well. I duck into this ridge below in case the AT-15 is actually giving us overlook, or he's giving his buddy overwatch. However, I realize there's a crucial on the line. Did you notice that, guys? 5 kills, 1 kill, 5 kills. Now, I was gonna make some, you know, deep, profound statements. Oh, look, the loot box tanks are getting all the kills. And the Object 283, the free tank, basically, the one of the shittiest tanks, only has 1 kill. But that would just be too obvious, so I'll be quiet. Now, I want to kill this AT-15. Look, we're only on 4,600 damage. Let's pump it up to 5,000 whatever, 5,400. That's a very nice score. And, oh. I just hate, like, shitters, bro. Why are you losing your HP for? It's fine, though. It's fine. So that was an entertaining replay. What do you guys think? But I was gonna discuss or go deeper into this whole strategy Wargaming has now. Maybe you've recognized it, maybe it's obvious, or maybe you haven't. So I'll just explain it to you. But I'll explain to you after I kill this guy. If I can kill this guy. Let's see. Really, the main hope is that this AT-15 doesn't lose any more HP. So, he doesn't know it yet, but there's a serpent coming up behind him. I guess it's a serpent because the turret is like a cobra, kind of. And it's got 2 fangs. Yeah. I'm sure that's what Wargaming was going with. There he is. Destroyed. Top Gun. Crucial contribution. Very entertaining replay. So, let's move on to the next replay. Alright, the next replay. I named this replay Double HE, so I'm sure something entertaining is going to happen. And we're on Lakeville. We're going to drive up to the most obvious spot, because where else are you going to go? Yeah. What I was going to say was, Wargaming strategy, basically, at this point, is you have a... Wait, hold on. Do I get an early double off? That's kind of like the whole point of this. Oh, perfect. I got my early double off. Then you just load another double and carry on, but... Yeah, as I was saying, they sold tier 8 premiums for a while. Kept adding them, got pretty saturated. They decided, well, we need to now expand to tier 9. And they learned their lesson from the BZ-176. BZ-176, after they sold it, nobody had any reason to buy any heavy after that, right? If you have the BZ, it's like the ultimate heavy. So, what did they do? Now, this is not in order. They already knew this, but the BZ just solidified this because the first tier 9 premium was that Chinese heavy, which came before the BZ. But, you know, they probably knew this long before the BZ. They added the first tier 9 premium, and it was kind of a pile of junk. Because they're not going to add a BZ at tier 9 immediately. And slowly, over time, they add more and more powerful tanks, right? And so now we get to this point. They added a double barrel that had the improved dispersion when you charge a double. Dispersion factors. Now they added this thing. Improved dispersion, like accuracy, dispersion at 100 meters when you charge a double. And so I'm sure in 6 months they're going to add another premium that is just like the SFAC. It has both. And they're just going to keep that up, right? I mean, again, this is obvious to you. Oh, they're just going to keep adding more and more overpowered premiums. That's just like rhetoric. That's just a saying. But here's like concrete evidence, right? They start with this tank, or they started with the Volkadav, which is kind of half of an SFAC. Then they add this tank, which is the other half of the SFAC. And I'm sure they're going to add another tank that is both at like an SFAC, I guess. It has both dispersion factors and accuracy as well. And so they're just going to keep this up, right? They're going to keep milking you for more and more. With loot boxes, obviously. Like, you know, it wasn't enough that they keep making these tanks more powerful. Now they gotta be behind loot boxes. Literally, these game modes are just an excuse to sell loot boxes. I mean, what the hell is the Last Stand? It's just like a Myrni reskin. That's it. It's the excuse to just sell loot boxes. And at some point, they're just gonna say, fuck you, we don't even care anymore. You want the new premium? You're gonna have to gamble for it. There isn't gonna be an event attached to it. I mean, isn't that how other games are now? So, anyway, at this point, I'm like, oh, I could empty my load into this guy and load a double HE, I think, right now. Or perhaps I kill this guy, then I load the HE. But at some point, look, I have it selected now. Let's poke and kill this guy. And, oh, that's not part of the plan. I guess I can double HE this guy, but I was actually saving it for the SU. Fortunately, he didn't just rush me. I guess I can double HE him. Let's just load this. Come on, load faster. Load. What's the HE damage? 520, so this is 1,000 double. That's a thumbnail right there. I think I'll make that the thumbnail, actually. Not clickbait. Literally, what happened. for once. But yeah, as I was saying, they're gonna keep doing this, and it's not enough that these tanks get more expensive or more overpowered, they're also getting more expensive. Like, is this tank worth gambling thousands of dollars for? No. It's like marginally... Okay, it was a lot better than the Volkadav before they nerfed it. Now it's like... It goes from 390 to 400 and shaves half a second off the double charge. But you don't get any armor, and you can't do it while moving. It's only accurate stationary. So it's kind of the same, right? It's literally the other half of the SVAC. But anyway, let's just move on to the next replay. Alright, this time we're fighting tier 10s, so let's see. If you look on the enemy team, they've got an E100, a mouse, and a Type 5, so that's a lot of HP to farm. If I can get up the hill, assuming they push forward, which, given their lineup, they should be able to, but... What I was saying is, just like how they flooded tier 8 with premium after premium and it got saturated, that's not an accident, that's policy. So they added tier 9s, and to be able to keep the charade going, they decided, well, we have to add tier 11s now. Because at some point, we're going to add tier 10 premiums, and then that's the highest tier. So, that's what's going to happen. Now, that's speculation, but like Quickie Baby correctly pointed out, they weren't opposed to the idea of tier 12s. And they sort of hinted at it in a way that's indicative of, like, that's their plan, right? It's like, we're not going to announce tier 12s right now, but that's the plan, right? We're going to eventually saturate tier 9 with premiums. And as soon as people stop caring about tier 9 premiums, we're going to put tier 10 premiums. Oh, so juicy. Look at that. And as soon as we put tier 10 premiums, we're going to introduce tier 12. And I don't know how long that they're going to keep that up. They could do that on for infinity. They can go up to tier 20 for all I know. But that's just that's the pattern. And that's kind of the smart thing to do, right? You can't keep adding tier 8 premiums over and over again because, again, you get bored. You've added every single variety and type and... Oh, nice. Wholesome ammo rack, because if I didn't ammo rack them, I probably would have taken a shot coming up here, maybe even 2 shots, because I think the Patton has a good rate of fire. But as I was saying, they're already easing you in to tier 10 premiums. Like, they added tier 10 rewards to the Raumfalter boxes, but the Raumfalter boxes was sort of like the crazy exception, multi-tiered, this will never happen again, right guys? Right? But then they added rewards, tier 10 rewards to Christmas boxes. And at that point I knew, okay, they're paving the way for tier 10 premiums. Because you notice when they added tier 10 rewards, it was sort of just a passing mention, right? It was like, ah, look at that. But when they added tier 9 premiums, people were really shocked. They're like, oh my god, you said you would never add that and you did, and this is the worst thing ever. So they're easing you in. Do you blame them? I mean, that's their marketing strategy. It works considering the player base will just eat anything up. I mean, this World Tanks player base are just kind of complete suckers. But what's the alternative? I mean, there's War Thunder, and War Thunder's fun, but it's not the same as World of Tanks, right? That's kind of the bottom line. Yes, War Thunder's good. It's not the same as World of Tanks. Can you believe that double ricocheted? This is why people play War Thunder. Literally. It's like, maybe you like both World of Tanks and War Thunder, because they're not mutually exclusive. You play both games interchangeably. But with enough World of Tanks bullshit, you just stop playing it, and then you just stick to War Thunder. So, what are you gonna do? Well, what you can do is, you know, play my game. Because that's just the second double and only one of them penned. What the hell is up with that? Now, my game isn't out yet, so don't worry about it. Okay? Working on it. But how I'm gonna have it is that tanks are just perfectly accurate, okay? There'll still be an aim time, like World of Tanks. In the realistic mode, I guess, if I were to add one like War Thunder, it wouldn't. But that's... The reason War Thunder works is because there's respawns, right? But yeah, so you can aim, and if you aim, you're perfectly accurate. So, yeah. What about Steel Aces? I mean, Steel Aces also has an accuracy at 100 meters mechanic, like dispersion. Like, the whole idea was that it's not RNG driven, but it's RNG driven. There is dispersion at 100 meters. Exact same mechanic as World of Tanks. And I've noticed it. I don't know if you've played it. I've played it. You do miss shots. And don't even get me started on the physics, okay? It's terrible. All I can say is that after probing the game, Steel Aces that is, was actually shocked at how poorly made it is. And I know it's like, Chems, you're biased, you're just being mean, you're being an asshole. At some point I might make a full, like, analysis, detailed breakdown of the game, but the too long didn't read is that... Oh my god, you see that double HE pen? Oh. Oh. This is why games with health bars are fun sometimes. It's that dopamine hit right there. But yeah, before I was interrupted with my dopamine, the too long didn't read of Steel Aces is that it's poorly made. It's basically a Unity asset flip. There was no care or consideration in developing the systems. It's all just bare bones stock Unity stuff. Which is why it runs so poorly. Literally. If you try to make... Like, Unity is good. If you want to use the stock built-in stuff, that's great if you're making a stylized game that'll run on a potato. But they're aiming for realistic graphics, okay? And so their method of just using stock Unity tools and stuff, it's just not good enough. And not to get too technical, but if you know anything about Unity, they're still using HDRP. Even though HDRP is, it's gone into maintenance mode. It's basically, like, I'm not gonna say deprecated. It's obsolete. That's what it is. HDRP is obsolete. URP is the way forward because URP can look as good as HDRP if you put a little bit of effort into it. Bulldog is not putting effort into his game, Steel Aces. So, they're stuck on a laggy engine with stock Unity stuff. That's why it's very slow. And it's like, I know from what you guys have experienced, the problems are kind of surface level, like gameplay mechanics and the devs' attitude towards players and all that. The black pill is that it's actually way deeper. Like, the game is just fundamentally on a horrific foundation. So, yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble. Anyway, my game doesn't have any of those issues. It has a fully custom URP engine, custom post-processing. I even made my own terrain system, channel packing, blah, blah, blah. I know, this is... I'm giving you buzzwords to sound smart. The same thing I critique Bulldog for doing, but that's fine. You don't have to take my word for it. A few months from now, it'll come out and you'll be the judge. But, yeah. I have one more replay to show. Should I show it? Fuck it, I haven't uploaded in months. Why not? This is actually the second game I ever played in this tank. The first game was just a shit loss, ended in like 3 minutes. You know, it was whatever game, but this was the actual game where this tank made an impression. And I was like, damn, this thing's kind of insane. So, you get to watch that in the background while I get to yap about bullshit. So, continuing where I left off. The thing is with game development is that it's actually not that hard to make a game. And it's actually not as hard as you think to make a game that looks good. What is very difficult is making a game that looks good and runs well. Like, we look at World of Tanks. This game looks fantastic, and I'm running at 300 FPS at 4K, max graphics. That's very hard to do. Right now in my game, it's when I run at 4K, it's roughly around 200 to 250 FPS. And the graphics don't look as good as this. Now, the graphics aren't terrible, I would say they're on par with Steel Aces, if not slightly better in certain circumstances. Again, because I have my own post-processing. So I have my own, like, optimized screen space reflections and all that. But anyway, what really makes these games so visually appealing is just the sheer amount of detail, right? It doesn't seem like it, but like, when you just look around, like, there, you see this on the cobblestone? Wait, hold on, I missed the shot. The shot missed anyway. There are leaves on this cobblestone. You see that? How do you easily add that without lagging the game? Well, you've got little bits of pieces here and there all over the place scattered on, and that's not hard to do. It's just very, very time consuming. And to be honest, it's not necessary for the sake of just making a game that's fun, right? My sort of rationale is a game's graphics doesn't matter until it does. So like, World of Tanks on max graphics or World of Tanks on medium graphics, it literally doesn't matter. Feels the same, looks kind of mostly the same result. Even World of Tanks on min graphics, it's good enough. Most people accept it. And if you have a shit PC, it's more than enough to play the game, right? But what if this looked like Roblox? And I don't mean like modern Roblox, I mean like 2008 Roblox, right? At that point, it's so ugly that it takes you out of it, okay? It's not immersive, it's not entertaining. Yeah. Now, whatever maybe notions you have of my game of being sort of low poly. Oh, by the way, this guy is just totally gonna poke in front of me. Nice one. To be fair, he probably doesn't know what this thing is, because I'm playing this before it was released. But yeah, now he does know what this is. On the kill cam, he sees this two extremely long double barrels. So yeah, there you go. Where was I? Yes, graphics. Are they important? Yes, but the problem with like modern games, especially AAA games, I'm sure you know this, is that it's like, it's just graphics. It's like, oh, we need to push this to look photorealistic, and the game runs at like 40 FPS, like Steel Aces. You don't actually need to do all that. You just need to look good enough, which is what I'm aiming for. And I think I've achieved that. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. This isn't meant to be an advertisement for my game, but the whole point is like, take a step back and think to yourself, do you really want to keep this charade up with wargaming? Also, what's going on there? That doesn't make much sense. Wargaming. Anyway, oh my god, 927, what a high roll. But yeah, so what I was saying, you can keep playing World of Tanks and you will literally dish out thousands of dollars to stay competitive, assuming you want to buy the newest premiums, which are like, as you see, they just keep getting better and better and more powerful. And as soon as the tier is saturated, they move up to the next tier, right? So, you want to keep that up, or do you want to give my game a shot? I mean, it's, I don't even think I'm going to add premiums, to be honest. I think I'm just going to stick to the whole, everything is a tech tree tank. You can convert it to a premium if you want to. I think that's fair. So, yeah, any, like, any screenshots or anything you've seen so far of what you think is my game, if you see it and it's like low poly stuff, that's not my game, so don't worry about it. Anyway, I know what the top comment is going to be. 10% tank review, 90% advertising his own game. Shut up. Shut up, you chud. I didn't even tell you its name. I'm not even showing you screenshots, okay? Be quiet. Anyway, okay, fine. We'll get back to the gameplay. This thing is insane. All it does is just double, double, double. Huge alpha. 5,300. This XM is chasing me. I'm probably going to take a shot from him. But he actually went for the shit pack. So, that's good for me. That means I can charge up a double and come back and double him. Now, I'm making it look like I'm leaving. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to come right out and double him. And just like clockworks. Yep. 6,100 damage. So remember, this was my second game ever played after a shit loss where I didn't really get to make my first impression. And people in the chat are like, what's the reload? Ooh, la la. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this thing is kind of ridiculous before it was nerfed. Now, I still think it's good after the nerf. It's just not good enough to gamble thousands of dollars for. So, there you go. If you really want to know the stats, now I will go on to Tanks GG and review it and compare it to things that are similar. Okay, here it is on Tanks GG before the nerf, right? This is before the nerf, this is after the nerf. The DPM dropped because the alpha damage dropped and the reload time compensated a little bit, but not enough. You can see 420, now it's 400. They did improve the dispersion factors a little bit, but it's, you know, it's whatever. The penetration also dropped, 254, 246. But the biggest change, right now it's 2.5 seconds. Charge up, 3 seconds lockout. You want to see what it was when I was playing it and the replays you were watching? 2-second charge up, 2-second lockout. So that was pretty OP. But it's not like that anymore. So let's compare the latest version, the newest one that you're going to be playing, if you get it, to the Volkadav and the SVAC, because that makes the most sense. You can see compared to the Volkadav, its DPM is a lot lower. And what does it have to show for it? Its alpha is barely above it. Like going from 390 to 420 was noticeable, especially in a double. Because instead of hitting for 7 something, you're hitting for 850, for example. But now the alpha damage is so similar, this DPM downside is pretty bad, to be honest. And let's see, what's the gold pen? 394, 307. Okay, so Serpent T or Serpent, much better. Yeah. Now, this is what I meant by the SVAC is split into 2 tanks at tier 9. Check this out. The SVAC, when you charge a double, very, very accurate. I'm pretty sure this is the most accurate tank of the game. Basically, no dispersion factors. The Volkadav, check this out. Keeps the same kind of average, even below average accuracy, but it also gets very good dispersion factors, 0.05. The Serpent doesn't. It keeps its crappy dispersion factors, but it gets very accurate. But here's the thing. It's like, okay, kind of below average, pretty good, very good accuracy. What the hell is this thing? The SVAC is insane, dude. So look, if I exit the double barrel or not the charging up, you will see, look at that. The SVAC actually has the worst dispersion factors, but it literally doesn't matter because you just charge a double. And they all have the same accuracy. You see that? 0.36, 0.36, 0.38, 1.8, 2.2, 2.7. The real difference is the charging of the double. Now you see the real difference. Average accuracy, great dispersion factors. Great accuracy, shitty dispersion factors. Fantastic accuracy, fantastic dispersion factors. At some point, they're probably going to add a tank that's like the SVAC, but at tier 9. Now, of course, the SVAC has to go slow when it charges its double. And on top of that, the Serpent actually gets gun depression. And the Volkadav gets armor. And more health. So, to be honest, the Serpent is kind of a bit worse than the Volkadav. What does it have going for it? Instead of a 3-second charge up, it's 2.5. And it goes from 390 to 400. Now, is it worth this different gun handling characteristics? The whole idea with these double barrels is to pre-charge, come around a corner, and dump your load and pull back behind cover. The Volkadav does that way better because of its dispersion factors. And when you're playing at medium to close range, this accuracy is more than good enough. The Serpent is faster, more accurate, but these dispersion factors means you have to fully aim. Kind of hurts the pre-charging. And so it's like these two are equal, I would say. They just do slightly different things. Now, the Volkadav was just regular loot boxes, wasn't super hard to get. The Serpent or Serpent is behind bullshit $1,000 loot boxes. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it, man. The Volkadav, if you already have it, then definitely don't get the Serpent. If you don't have it and you want the Serpent, don't worry. Literally don't worry. They're gonna add something stronger 6 months from now, okay? You have nothing to worry about. Aside from that, yeah, it's a bit faster. Reverse is a bit better. Obviously, it's gonna have a little bit better stats in those regards because it doesn't have armor, right? Volkadav at least has some armor to it. It's not insane armor, but some. Serpent doesn't have any. And it's not an SFAC, right? The SFAC is probably the most overpowered tank at tier 8. The most overpowered tank destroyer at tier 8. Alongside the Grom. This and the Grom, they're different, right? This has no armor, has a turret, whatever. The reason nobody bitches and whines about the SFAC is because it's rare. I think they sold it once in some sort of, what was it, guys? It was like a black market or something. And it was for 14,000 gold, I think I paid for it. Best purchase of my life. But that's, keep that in mind. I think this kind of validates my opinion on OP tanks. OP tanks aren't a problem if they're rare. But now they are selling this in loot boxes, albeit very expensive loot boxes that I don't think most people are going to buy. We'll have to see. When the SFAC becomes more popular, and if you start seeing them more in the matchmaker, then we'll see if people start complaining about it being overpowered. Because then it will follow the exact same life cycle as the Chieftain. Alright, it was OP but rare, no one cared. OP but common, now everybody cares. I will keep this in mind for when I'm developing my own game. Yeah, I'm bringing it back. The reason is a good friend of mine actually pointed to the fact that there's an AT tank, British one, that has a double barrel autocannon.
24 rounds.
So you actually don't need to make ChatGPT made up BS tanks for something to be interesting. There are real historical bases for a lot of very interesting vehicles that I will add to the game. And the more overpowered they are, the more rare I'll make them, I think. But yeah, there you go. Look at this. Look, Volkadav, double barrel, Serpent, double barrel, SFAC, double barrel, loot box, now again in a loot box, thousands of dollars. You want to buy it? Kind of a waste. I hope my non-stop, obnoxious yappage was at least somewhat entertaining to you. I'll see you all in 3 months.